Is this a round where you say you idiots?
You idiots only comes at the start of the round.
Okay.
The start of the match. If I have to time out around 3, I'm like,
Okay.
how are you doing?
오늘 진짜 한 10분도 못 쉰 것 같은데 이런 생각이 들 때가 있어요.
뭐 쫄아서 게임하지 말고 그냥 맞받아쳐서 싸우라.
Man, if Sova wasn't working, you think we would use it? Heck no. No.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to VCT Pacific's Time Out, where we're going to have a chance to hear from perhaps the masterminds behind every team here at VCT Pacific. I will be your host, William Cho, and today we are joined by 6 of our coaches and head coaches in VCT Pacific. If we can just go around and do a quick intro, let's start from here.
Hector Frost Rosario.
Alecks Saleh.
TLX의 편선호 감독이라고 합니다.
네, 젠지의 솔로 감독이라고 합니다.
Spin, Peter, and coach for Global Esports.
Nikola Legianinic, coach for Bleed.
Before we get started today, we're going to just kind of get to know, the role of the coaches, stories behind, that you might want to share, maybe about your players, your coaching styles, etc. I know this is probably a very basic question that you're all sick of hearing, but for our fans, what is the role of a coach?
I think that is entirely dependent on the players, the organization, and sort of the system you're trying to create. Some coaches are good at keeping environments in place, so they're like, friends or psychologists. Some coaches are X's and O's guy, all strategy. Some coaches are actually analysts. Their job is really just to support the IGL and implement things that he wants, but he doesn't have the time to do because he still has to aim train and he still has to keep his production up.
Does everyone kind of agree that it's always going to depend kind of case by case? Alex, you're shaking your head a
No,
little
I
bit.
think we're going to be carried here.
Oh, you're just gonna let Frost do all the talking?
I mean, he's absolutely right. I mean, I'm in a unique position, I guess, because I'm allowed to do whatever I want in terms of like team culture. I just need to make sure that we're building a brand properly. I'm also part of management in that case.
Do you think there are any strict requirements of a coach should do at least like A, B, and C?
일단은 뭐 전략도 당연히 짜야 되고. 그러니까 제가 생각했을 때는 선수들이 이렇게 하나로 만드는 게 저는 감독이라고 생각하거든요. 그리고 당연히 분석이나 전략이나 다 해야 된다고 생각하고 있고 저는 제일 첫 번째가 그냥 단합인 것 같아요.
감독 자체가 모든 걸 책임지는 자리라고 저는 생각을 하거든요. 전략적인 부분이나 뭐 멘탈적인 부분이나 팀의 방향성 이런 것 모든 것들을 다 정해서 가야 되기 때문에 어느 한 부분이라도 부족하면 저는 감독이 자질이 없다고 저는 생각을 하거든요. 그래서 엄청나게 중요한 자리라고 생각하고 있습니다.
We're talking about bringing it together, but obviously global esports, now 2 different iterations of very global teams. How do you view, is that any more difficult, do you think? Because you're bringing in players from like all different cultures and backgrounds?
Last year was a big difficulty, a lot down to how well the team felt together, I think. So this year we focus a lot more on that, but it means that we've had to put in a lot of time into developing that early on in the season, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's also my job mainly to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, that everybody feels well with each other. But it's also depending on the players, how willing they are to adapt to new cultures, new teammates.
Sure. So with this, then I want to ask a kind of OX question here amongst you guys. The question is I believe that I should be as close as possible, like a friend or family member with my players. If you think like, no, this needs to be a business relation, I need to be as strict as possible, I need to kind of keep my distance on a personal level, then you'll say X. Like 1, 2, 3. Okay, all O's and 1 X.
I think the culture conversation is correct. You want to keep a good environment. You don't want bad relationships with people, but it's hard to be objective when you're emotional. So for instance, if I need to make a change, it's very difficult if I like you to make a change. The interpersonal stuff is great to have on paper, but in reality, you want people that can produce.
Okay.
It's hard to think of people as production when you're emotionally attached.
Okay. So look, I mean, at the end of the job, business is business, and a
Right.
job is a job. What
I
about
see
you?
it in your
Yeah.
face.
I was always the guy, like the family guy. Like
Okay.
when I was a player, all my teams had like this vibe, environment around it. I think if teammates or my players have any issues, whether it's with me or with the players or with the game plan or with anything related to the team, I think they will be way more willing to openly talk and approach me and ask me like, hey, I have an issue with that and that. And I think I'm old enough and experienced enough to differentiate work with friendship. In the end, the 5 players and myself, we are there to win the game, to have success.
프로스트 감독의 말을 100% 공감을 하는 게 성적이 안 나올 때나 뭐 팀의 선수가 이제 폼이 좀 떨어졌을 때 쓴소리를 할 수밖에 없잖아요. 쓴소리를 하다 보면 당연히 분위기가 다운될 때도 있지만 저도 이제 가족 같은 분위기가 좋지만 그런 상황이 됐을 때는 힘들잖아요. 선수들도 어려워하고 저도 어려워하고 분위기만 마냥 좋게 가서 성적이 안 좋았을 때는 결국 책임은 저희가 다 져야 되는 거거든요. 그렇다기보다 저는 선수들의 실력을 올려주기 위해서 최대한 많은 말들을 해준죠, 선수한테. 딱 선택인 것 같아요. 뭐 성적이냐, 분위기냐, 이거는.
I actually want to follow up because kind of the meme in Korea is that Solo, you're a very like a hard ass coach.
I always thought that, you know. For the last 3 years, I've always thought like Solo is, you do something wrong, you die.
Right.
근데 뉴턴 때는 약간 제가 또 게임을 하고 있으니까 좀 더 약간 선수들한테 집중하라고 너 살아, 하지 마, 나가지 마, 뭐 이런 식으로 많이 했거든요. 지금은 이제 확실한 이제 코칭 스텝이 되고 나서부터는 그런 거에 있어서는 조금 선수들이 플레이하게끔 놔두고 그리고 스크림에서 이제 미니 게임 같은 거는 잘하게끔 지금은 막 이렇게 막 뭐라고 하네요.
There is a delicate balance because I definitely will say this: a team that doesn't get along, very rarely, no matter how good the individual pieces are, they won't be good together.
Kind of want to go back a little bit bigger picture again. I just wanted to kind of touch on that since the topic came up. But just in general, a lot of people, they have ideas about like what does a coach do, you know, off of the matches, right? During the matches, we see you guys obviously watching the game, calling timeouts, etc. So what do coaches do when you're not scrimming specifically?
I just watch a crap ton of VODs. Like,
Just VODs all day?
I mean, for me, I have 2 monitors, right? I have something playing on my left like all the time. So sometimes I'm doing something and something catches my eye and I watch it because after a while the games repeat, you know, like it's the same thing over and over again. You see the same come 200 times on a send, 1 million times maybe. But someone does something interesting sometimes, you know. And then what do coaches do when we're free?
Yeah,
I try and make them go to the gym, but it doesn't work.
Oh, respect. Oh, I got all my guys in the gym. Even Jip boys. I got Jip boys in the gym.
And then what about just in general? Like, is this just the same for all of you guys? It's just VODs, like non-stop, and then notes, VODs, notes?
뭐 저는 가장 이 리플레이를 많이 보는 사람들이지 않을까요? 그 다른 팀들의 리플레이를 엄청나게 많이 보고 진짜 대회 준비할 때 어쩔 때는 진짜 제가 하루에 막 10분도 못 쉴 때가 있다고 저는 느끼거든요. 그 정도로 뭔가 완전 집중해서 하는 시기가 있는데 정말로 밥 먹고 와서 바로 보고 스크림하고 스크림 끝나자마자 보고 얘기하고 이제 자기 전에 딱 생각해보면 오늘 진짜 한 10분도 못 쉰 것 같은데 이런 생각이 들 때가 있어요. 그런 거에서 노력들은 뒤에서 많이 숨어서 하는 것 같아요.
In Pacific, they rely so heavily on their mechanics that most of the tendencies are really fight-based. So as long as you study how they fight, you pretty much have an idea as to what they're going to do.
That was kind of a big thing that a lot of people focused on Gen G's story this time.
What a performance from them! And this ragtag bunch of individuals has come together to build one of the best teams we've seen.
Obviously, very talented players, etc. Do you agree that maybe in Pacific, just in general, it does rely much more on if we can get through the mechanics to just fight our way out, then we can win?
좀 약간 반반인 것 같은데 약간 저희가 솔직히 경기를 너무 많이 했잖아요. 솔직히 준비하는 시간이 너무 짧을 수밖에 없어요. 근데 제가 좀 애들한테 얘기했던 거는 특히 뭐 DRX도 그렇고 페이퍼렉스도 있고 그렇지만 특히 페이퍼렉스 같은 경우는 너무 공격적인 팀이라서 저는 그냥 무조건 트레이드만 얘기했어요. 그냥 무조건 쫄아서 게임하지 말고 그냥 맞받아쳐서 싸워라.
Just smash, man.
How
It's that simple.
Gabi.
One line.
Gabi.
Just focus on trading. Go.
Oh, they figured us out. How does it feel though, Alex? Like again, PaperX, obviously everyone likes to meme about W gaming, but how does it feel to be that team to be looked at as like, well, they just have a different style, like that's the brand and story. Do you believe that you guys are also very unique in that? Or do you think the viewers and most of the community is kind of, we're looking at this too simplistically?
I don't think they're wrong. Okay, sure. I try not to base our play style off any other team. You know, I just want to do our own thing. The 5 players, I mean, we believe what we're doing is right. Seems to be working, but I'm also very aware that like it gets figured out. You know, but I feel that we need to evolve. Actually, honestly, I think we benefited from the format immensely. We played 2 games and qualified like immensely. You know, because I was thinking, we're not gonna beat you, and then we managed to fluke out the split, and because of that, you know, the mental explosion, and then we managed to win after that. But yeah, this year is a year of change, I think, for us. I always thought this year, in whatever league you're in, this is going to be the hardest year. Everyone is trying to do new things. Everyone is trying to get their best players, best like lineups up. This is going to be the hardest year. There's going to be less talent to take from T2 now. So if you can safely navigate this year, get top 3, I think you're in a very good spot for the next couple of years. But I think people are more or less right. You know, we are quite simple. We just good. We just choose a strat and it's probably going to work because I have very, very good players. But I think we're going to try and step our game this year.
다른 팀보다 당연히 푸나틱이랑 페이퍼엑스가 제일 어렵죠. 제일 어렵고 오히려 사람들이 페이퍼엑스에 대해서 좀 잘못 생각하고 있는 게 있는 것 같은 게 저는 반대로 페이퍼엑스가 적어도 공격 진영에서는 태틱의 완성도가 굉장히 높다고 생각을 하거든요. 그런 거 보면은 전 알렉스가 되게 작전을 잘 짠다고 생각을 하는데 그 전략이 먹히면 진짜 막을 때까지 쓰더라고요.
Let's talk a little bit further about like actually how the matches are played, etc. Then, and one thing I think a lot of people are curious about are map drafts. Do you think the match can be decided from the map draft? Ooh, okay.
I think there's just been times where we've got exactly the maps we wanted and then not done well. So I think that's what puts it against like this. You can't just win from the map draft. Like for example, last chance qualifier last year, we had our best two maps. We were playing really well on both maps in practice, and then going into the actual match, just didn't perform nearly at the level. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into a win that it's not just about the bans and the pick.
The logical way to think about it is this: if you can predict a map draft, you can prepare in time. Let's say for some reason they did something against PRX I liked and it worked. I'll just steal it. If I can predict the bans, you can walk through that and go, hey, listen, here's what they do. Here's what Bleed did to stop this, blah, 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 blah. We should, if you can't predict it's gonna be really hard to be able to do stuff like that. And I think oftentimes those things, for me at least, has been a major difference. It happened between me and Termi. So the Sova pick was a complete counter pick to what we assumed that they would pick it.
But the Sova as well for Lenny. I mean, the general consensus, I think it's safe to say that people think Sova sucks on Split.
We picked Sova because they have two new players. Imagine you try to give somebody an op line, gamble off, but now you have to deal with a Sova drone. Oppers need someone with them to deal with the Sova drone. But if an opper doesn't have someone with them, he's gonna have to use the op to break the Sova drone. Well now, what do? So we figured that it would give us the best chance for success if you have a pick like that on a map that you think they're gonna play, on a map that they think you suck at. I personally believe if you can predict picks and bans, you put yourself in a really good spot.
I mean, let's say if I'm Gen G and I played like so many maps in this tournament, it's very important like when you have like day after day consecutive games to know the map veto, because as a coach it's pretty much impossible to prepare 7 new maps, and if opponents have like that many informations on you, you have to like also watch your own games and see, okay, what are my tells in the game, what can they see from our matches. So I think it helps a lot. It helps a lot when you can't predict the veto and go down into like to 4 maps.
I have a question I want to ask. So when do you exercise the freedom to the players, or when do you say, nah, bro, that's cap? Like me personally, I love the way that Lenny and Governor planned for that, because even Governor was like, hey, you know what we should do? Even though we want to play Secret on Split, let's just ban it. He goes, I want to do this. Me and Lenny have agreed. You get final say. And I'm like, I'm with it, let's do it. And then and then I just help craft the game plan and stuff. But like, when do you guys exercise the like, yes or no?
I mean, it also depends a little bit on the teammates or the players that you have. How good are they at adapting? If they never really played this comp and they just want to change it just for this matchup because they think, okay, it's good. I'll listen to the idea, but if I don't think, or if I'm not confident enough in us executing the plan, then obviously I will say no. But I'm always open and willing to listen to the ideas they have.
저희도 요원 픽에 있어서 요새는 조금 되게 자유롭거든요. 자유롭고 좀 새로운 시도들을 많이 해보고 있는데 선수들이 좋은 의견이 있으면 그거를 그대로 적용을 많이 시키고요. 저희가 굉장히 그런 것도 잘 안 바꾸는 팀이라고 생각하는데 일례로 22년 챔스 FX전 때는 스크림을 한 번도 하지 않은 요원 조합으로 대회를 했었거든요. 당일날 바꿔서 한 적이 있어요.
You're very brave. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't have the stomach for it.
Okay, your team comes up with this composition. The theory is sound. The match is tomorrow, and it's an elimination match. You haven't scrimmed it. Do you use it or not?
Of course.
You use it. Okay, you don't.
I mean, for me, it's as I said, depending on the level of players that I have.
Okay.
Like if I had experienced players like him who played like on a very big stage, and I know that they are very flexible with the agents that they play, I don't think it would make a big difference. Like if I know I have a stacks on KO, go ahead, he will know what he will do. Like if I have Forsaken in my team and he tells me I want to play today KO instead of Gecko.
If we haven't scrimmed it, if I haven't seen it, Heck no. Man, if Sylvan wasn't working, you think we would use it? Heck no. No.
원래 저는 그런 걸 좋아하긴 해요. 진짜로 바로 바꾸는 거를. 근데 위험 부담이 크잖아요. 저희가 한 번도 안 했던 조합으로 해서 그냥 전날 그냥 선수들 믿고 너네가 잘하는 요원으로 해서 한번 하자. 근데 제가 그렇게 했을 때마다 다 졌어요.
Sort of. I've done it a couple of times in events where it's usually a small modification, right? So maybe you switch us over to a fade because, or the other way around because
You need the dog. You need two dogs instead of one
or
for whatever.
Yeah, or you know that they like. Let's take Ascent that we played it once and we struggled. I think it has to be something where the player is comfortable on it for sure. Like you can't just do something crazy. I feel like that's something with Paper X as well. Like the guys have played together for a long time. It's not just about having great strats to get advantages at the beginning of the round, but when Paper X like break a round down to like a 3v3 or a 2v2, they're also really good at those situations. And I think that's where you can win with like a wacky comp.
So I have a list of questions where we'd like to do a little rapid fire session. This is on your team. Most likely to come for life advice.
Oh, Cruz. Most disciplined person I've ever experienced in esports.
Oh, wow.
Hands down, like player-wise, sorry. Player-wise.
I think Davai or Manfred, one of the two. They're older, you know.
스택스?
텍스처.
Ross, for sure.
Scary.
And is this because of generally like they're older, etc., or are they just simply just the most talkative?
I think maybe it's also partly how they got raised by their parents. I think that makes a big impact, and I can see that he's very polite and very open and smart thinking person. But I mean, obviously, life experience goes into that as well.
For solo, you said texture is most likely.
텍스처 선수 같은 경우는 약간 게임에 좀 진심이 많이 진짜 뭐 다른 선수도 다 똑같겠지만 제가 감독 부임하면서 같이 했던 선수이기도 하고 좀 인연이 좀 많이 깊고 저 개인적으로 저한테는 약간 좀 의지를 좀 하는 것 같긴 해요. 저도 얘기도 좀 많이 하는 편이고. 네.
All right, next question. Either you can't talk pregame, so no huddles once you go on the stage. You can't talk in between maps. You can't call timeouts, or you can't talk during timeouts. You can call it, but you can't talk. Or you aren't allowed to pick the map bans anymore. So which would you sacrifice?
포기는 1번 하겠습니다. 허들 전.
네.
저도
Yeah, the huddle is, I think, the most useless thing in esports.
Wait, okay, so
It's useless.
I always think about what I have to say through the night before the match.
I think it's very easy to actually do damage during the huddle. Like to bring the energy up or down when it's like at the right level. Like obviously each person can be at a different level. So if you try and bring some people up, you might get people a bit agitated. I think it's, yeah.
Yeah, I think the energy thing is important because like everyone's always told me, oh, the players have no energy. Like, you know, they're not like rowdy. I'm like, I like that because in my opinion, it's hard to make
Emotions.
Exactly. It is very difficult to make good decisions when you're emotional.
Usually we talk about what we're going to chant. That's literally what we say, like, okay, what do you want to say today?
just how are we going to end the huddle?
I know against Genji, we were looking at him and they were saying like, hey, actually these guys are super happy and hyped right now. It's actually going to be a problem. And we're going to try and make this place a library. Okay, boom, it didn't happen.
제가 이제 허들하러 가면 제일 늦게 가잖아요. 그럼 선수들끼리 이미 장난을 좀 치고 있고 뭐 스택스 같은 경우는 가끔 끝나고 뭐 먹을래 뭐 이러고 있고 조금 저는 이제 좀 포커싱 하자라는 말을 많이 하고 선수는 장난치고 있고
약간 뭐 그런 얘기도 하죠. 뭐 뱀픽이 잘 됐다. 뭐
Because everyone's always curious, right? Like, because some teams huddle for a really long time and things like that. And everyone's like, what goes on in those huddles? But clearly, that is the number one thing you guys are willing to sacrifice. All right, I think that's it for the rapid fire. And I think now what we're going to do is we prepared this little mini game, and we're going to show you guys a couple rounds of matches. And the question is going to be, do you call a timeout or not? All right, so the first clip, we're looking at it from the POV of the attacking team.
To make this retake just that much more doable. Finally unleashed. Flash round the side. Taking the fight straight to them, and they're going to be favored. Positioning, it's not good. Cryo constantly having to adjust. He's finding his way to left. One more down. Still falls to fourth. Unbelievable.
Do you call a timeout or not? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay.
Because 1v4, right? Then
Right.
usually my boys just, they're gonna get like, you know, they're gonna get upset. So I just need to, okay, you guys need to chill.
If somebody wins a clutch, right, and there's a lot of emotion involved, right, call a timeout, I don't care. Most players don't have the foresight to do that, right? Because especially when you're inexperienced, that emotion, like your hands start shaking. Next round, you probably forget the call. Your IGL calls a call. You're somewhere else because you're just like, yeah, I just like dominated the world, right? So I don't necessarily think that would be a bad timeout if that was why you called it.
프로스트 감독이 말한 것처럼 손을 떨고 있다거나 너무 긴장을 했다거나 왜냐면 그럴 수 있기 때문에 그런 말을 들었을 때는 타임아웃을 좀 말을 해줄 것 같고 그런 말을 안 들었으면 그냥 그대로 진행인데 만약에 타임아웃을 걸었으면 그 1대4 남기 전 상황을 한 번은 짚어줄 것 같긴 해요. 한 번은 짚어주면서 뭐 조금 릴렉스하는 시간도 주고 그러면서 진행할 것 같은데요.
All right, let's go to the next clip. We are the defending team.
Guess who's not able to follow up? Look at this from Dubstep.
That's a big kill.
The timing just not quite there.
Yeah, Dubstep falls on the other side of the map now. Zippin has shown up. Xiao here, Angel's here. Excuse me, Xiao just rotating over. Jesse Dash trying to play this close angle. He was only able to get one.
Borkum swing! Where's the swing? He can trade that.
And the thing is, now all of the rotations have arrived. There's still the op in the hands of CNED. And Envy has a turret. He has a sheriff. And he's got a 1v1!
Are you calling a timeout or not? 1, 2, 3. 4 of you are calling timeouts. Let's hear from the minority first. You're not calling a timeout.
No, because macro-wise, we dominated that round. Micro-wise, we didn't. Like, for instance, Silva has his bow out first. Obviously, you expect professional players to know not to do that, right? Small gaff. Then they're in a 1v3. Sure, they didn't trade well, they didn't ping pong correctly, all that stuff. But like, if I'm calling a timeout for that, bro, we got bigger problems, right? Like, my IGL should be able to understand what happened there. It's like, okay, guys, we need to trade a little better. These guys are really good. Relax.
Let's hear a little bit from why are you calling the timeout?
I mean, there was way too many mistakes in 30 seconds happening. The communication was very off, corners were not cleared, utility was not properly used, and then again, like against the last guy, the spacing was very off. If that happens, that means my team is right now off.
Oh, okay.
Mental reset. I don't go too deep into it. I just say, guys, we need better communication for the retakes, make sure that we use our utility properly, and that's it.
Again, it depends on the score, because you can have a huge momentum shift with a round like that.
Sure.
And I think that would be the main thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It really depends on the score. I mean, in round 11 they do this. One more round you get halftime anyway. I probably won't do anything unless it's like, okay, we need the last round. It would be like between 8-4 and 9-3.
Sure,
I would definitely
sure.
time out.
Okay.
So, okay.
Is this a round where you say you idiots or?
No, maybe not. You idiots only comes to the start of the round.
Okay.
The start of the match. If I have to time out round 3, I'm like, okay. How are you doing?
Termi, are you kind of in the same boat that you're talking about, kind of just like the small mistakes, or is this something else?
상황 자체는 B에 스파이크가 설치가 됐는데도 불구하고 A 지역 근처에 2명이 있더라고요. 그만큼 팀에 이 소통에 문제가 있었던 것 같고 라운드 전체에 대한 문제가 있었던 것 같고 그리고 마지막에 엘보가 한 명 있었는데 저 선수는 사실상 어떻게 보면 운으로 죽은 거거든요. 왜냐면 스패밍이 죽었기 때문에 그런 부분들도 정리 안 된 상태에서 라운드를 진행했던 것 같고 그리고 1대3도 사실 트레이드가 안 나올 수밖에 없게 싸웠기 때문에 진 것 같아서 엄청나게 쓴소리를 하지 않았을까 경기 중에서는. 네.
Okay, all right, but a little bit of insight. Obviously, again, like you guys said, it all depends on the overall score and flow and whatnot. But I think it's just kind of a nice little tidbit, a little hint at what goes on in a coach's mind. I know we talked about a lot of things, but before I let you go, I just want to hear quick goodbyes from everyone.
I look forward to our season and playing all of you in game and server. I want to thank the Thai fans and Talon. I think you guys should have a lot to expect from us this year, and I hope we do our best.
Yeah, I mean, likewise. I think it's great to meet everyone. Usually our interactions with even coaches is just a fist bump, and good luck, man. We leave. And for the fans, I think I speak for all of us. Like, our league wouldn't exist if you guys don't come and watch our games and come to the crowd. So very, very happy to continue to give.
각 팀의 감독들이 이렇게 나와서 얘기할 수 있는 시간이 많지는 않잖아요. 그래서 굉장히 좀 재밌었던 시간이고 또 기뻤던 시간이었던 것 같고요. 그리고 팬분들한테 조금 드리고 싶은 말씀은 승패는 사실 어쩔 수가 없는 거잖아요. 뭐 이길 때도 있고 질 때도 있는 건데 그냥 시즌 전체로 좀 지켜봐 주셨으면 좋겠고 조금 더 나무라지 않고 좀 즐길 수 있는 문화가 됐으면 좋겠습니다.
네, 이런 자리를 만들어줘서 너무 감사하고 그리고 다 훌륭한 감독들이랑 같이 해서 너무 재밌었고 저도 뭐 팬분들한테 좀 말하자면 좀 더 응원해주고 좀 더 기대해주는 게 좋을 것 같아요. 그러니까 뭐 저희나 뭐 한국 팀들이나 아니면 해외 팀들도 다 그랬으면 좋겠고 감사합니다. 네.
To the really supportive fans, like we do see your support. The players do, coaches do, the management does, and yeah, that's what gets us through. And we want to perform for you guys, so we'll do our best.
Yeah, I mean, everything has been really said. Obviously, a pleasure being with you guys here. Thanks for having me. I hope that the community gives a little bit more support towards the players.
But once again, thank you so much to the 6 coaches that we had today here for Timeout. For all of our fans watching from home, we'll see you all on stage for stage 1 of VCT Pacific.